Kowalski. Here. Fielder Mirabella. Fielder Wright.
Here.
And Chairman Jallo.
Here.
Chairman, you have 6 freeholders present.
Thank you. May you please lead us in a prayer and salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his Spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk of the Board, may you please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
The Chair wishes to announce that pursuant to requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2014, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2014 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2014 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. We'll adopt at next week's regular meeting the approval of communications. At this time, we're going to have a presentation to the board. I'd like to call upon a representative from T&M to present to this board with a presentation regarding Superstorm Sandy Recovery Planning Report, which will enable the County of Union to seek out additional post-Sandy funding.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Board of Freeholders. It's my pleasure this evening to present to you the Strategic Recovery Planning Report for the County of Union. My name is Stan Slahetka. I'm with T&M Associates, and we're the planning consultant that prepared the report on behalf of the county. This project, and specifically this report, is prepared based upon a grant that the County of Union received from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. And specifically, the grant program is the Post-Sandy Planning Assistance Grant Program, and it's part of the larger pool of money that was provided to the state of New Jersey for post-Sandy recovery efforts. This specific pot of money was provided to the county and to municipalities throughout the state for planning purposes. It's not a capital program, but in fact, it is to promote post-Sandy planning, to make communities more resilient, to improve recovery and reduce hazards throughout the state of New Jersey. This report that we had prepared relied on information that was provided to us from a variety of sources within the county. We did not develop independently or undertake an independent analysis, but relied on all the various good professionals and staff people that you have, in fact, working for the county, and they provided a pretty significant amount of insight and perspective on the impacts of Sandy and the post-recovery efforts and what was needed within the county moving forward. Specifically, I wanted to thank the Department of Economic Development, Amy Wagner, Colleen Marr, and Bill Inglefield for their efforts and support in this. We've also had a significant amount of input, as I mentioned, from a variety of different entities, agencies within the county. The Department of Public Parks and Recreation provided us with invaluable information, as did the Department of Public Safety. We also received input from the Division of Emergency Services, the Office of Emergency Management, the Division of Health, the Department of Public Works and Facilities Management, and within that, the Division of Public Works and the Division of Facilities Management. We had a series of meetings with all representatives of all these entities and agencies, and we also had input from municipalities, specifically the city of Linden and the town of Westfield, who came in and provided us with a perspective and input on the impacts of Sandy. The report, as I sort of categorize it, is a 30,000 to 15,000 foot view of the impacts of Sandy and the efforts of the county post-Sandy. It's not intended to provide a highly detailed analysis on a project-by-project basis or an impact-by-impact basis, but providing a comprehensive overview within the county of what transpired and what we should be doing moving forward. And it's understood through the Department of Community Affairs program that really this is a first step in that process. In fact, this is a prerequisite, and I'll discuss this a little bit later in my presentation. This is a prerequisite for other funding opportunities that are available to the county to further the efforts and the work done on the Strategic Recovery Planning Report and provide more comprehensive planning efforts and insight for the county moving forward. The report itself is divided into 4 specific areas. The first is an overview of the impacts of Sandy within the county. And as I mentioned, that overview and that analysis of the impacts, in that regard, we relied on the information from the county. The second part of the report reviews the various planning documents that have been adopted through the years by the county, and we specifically reviewed the county's master plan and other planning documents and provided an overview of those and their relationship to some of the planning efforts that were going to be necessary moving forward to make the county more resilient in the future. The third part of the report talks about recovery efforts that are ongoing and have taken place within the county. Again, we've got that information, relied on information from the county, and just from my perspective, it sounds like you are doing a very good job and a very comprehensive job in responding to Sandy and addressing recovery efforts. And then the fourth part is probably the most significant of all the parts of the report, and that provides an action plan and an overview of the strategy and approach that the county should be taking moving forward. And within that action plan is specific recommendations for requests for grants under the second phase of the Post-Sandy Planning Assistance Grant Program. And again, I'll highlight those in a moment. I won't go through all the details of the report. There's a lot of information here. If the Freeholder Board has any specific questions about any of the components of the report or the details or information that's provided, I'll be glad to answer those questions. We also have representatives from the Department of Economic Development that can provide responses as necessary as well. Let me get into then the specific recommendations and strategies and action plan for the county. And as I said, that's towards the end of the report, and that initially starts on page 25, and the details are set forth in a table starting on page 26. I just want to highlight some of the key priority items that are listed in the action plan, and then talk about the second round grants that we are going to be requesting. The first of the priority actions that are recommended is support and expansion and providing county assistance to help municipalities support and improve their community rating systems, the rating system within each one of the municipalities. And that's very important because by improving those rating systems, property owners within those municipalities can see specific savings in their insurance rates and the amount of money that they're paying in insurance. A number of counties have provided assistance to municipalities. We think it's a wise and an appropriate approach for the county. A second action item, which is of priority to the county, is evaluating and assessing the needs of vulnerable populations, people that are either at most risk from impacts from storms such as Superstorm Sandy, or have certain vulnerabilities either to age, income, or other factors that makes their ability to respond and recover to the impacts of those storms particularly significant or onerous. And here's where an action plan and an overview at the county level, which is a much more regional response, is appropriate. And I know that the Department of Community Affairs, and particularly because this money is coming from federal sources, that is of particular interest. And I think that the DCA would be favorably disposed to that type of action. There's a couple of opportunities that we've outlined for the county to be involved in providing advice and assistance to municipalities, both excuse me, along the Raritan Valley stream corridor and along the waterfront areas of the and shoreline of the county, in terms of providing some information on best practices and providing an overall plan for resiliency and recovery in those communities. Another priority action is the development of an emergency operations center with full communications to all county municipal personnel. A lot of the feedback that we received was the need to improve and enhance the communications opportunities and make the communications system as robust as possible to address recovery needs and response to events such as Superstorm Sandy. And that is another one that, as I'll mention in a moment, one of the ones that we're looking for funding from the Department of Community Affairs. Certainly backup power is an issue. We've highlighted the need to provide backup power and emergency generators at various county facilities, and where the response to Superstorm Sandy highlighted some areas where additional facilities were necessary. Then finally, one of the priority actions that we've identified is the preparation of a comprehensive recovery and resiliency plan. And this is where we take the Strategic Recovery Planning Report and take it to the next level. And again, this is something that's fundable under Phase 2 of the Post-Sandy Planning Assistance Grant Program. And that comprehensive plan will be designed to integrate and coordinate all the goals and objectives that have been identified in the updated hazard mitigation plan that's currently being updated at the county level, the health and well-being assessment that the county recently performed, the county's sustainability initiative, which is ongoing, and the study that we are recommending as a priority, which is the vulnerable study and evaluation of vulnerable populations and neighborhoods, bringing all those components together into a comprehensive recovery and resiliency plan. As I mentioned, this is part of the Post-Sandy Planning Assistance Grant Program. The Strategic Recovery Planning Report is Phase 1 of that program. And as I mentioned, it's a prerequisite for the request for funding from the Department of Community Affairs, grant funding specifically, for Phase 2 of the Post-Sandy Planning Assistance Grant Program. And in that instance, there's a much more expansive amount of money that's available to the county, and the specific recommended requests for grant money are specified on page 34 of the report, and all these are also highlighted in the executive summary as well. But specifically, there are 6 projects and 6 tasks and strategies that have been identified, as I mentioned. The first one is evaluate options for evacuating and providing aid to vulnerable neighborhoods and populations. Providing recommendations to urban coastal towns about resilient land uses and land use planning practices in coastal areas. Analyzing the Raritan Valley Stream Corridor development designs, redevelopment plans, and site plans to provide recommendations and model stream corridor ordinances and plans based on existing best practices. Improving the system for documenting what work is done during an emergency. That's another critical feedback that we got from the various participants in our workshops, including descriptions of work and hour logs. Developing the Virtual Emergency Operations Center, which I described earlier, and then preparing the Comprehensive Recovery and Resiliency Plan. I should point out that these are eligible for funding under the second phase of the Post-Sandy Planning Assistance Grant Program, but you'll notice that there are other priorities and actions that have been identified as being critical actions. For example, improvement of the community rating system and the emergency generators that are not fundable under the Post-Sandy Assistance Planning Grant Program. The intent here is that the Strategic Recovery Planning Report is a comprehensive review and evaluation, and that there may be other funding sources for some of the other actions that are recommended, but it's really part of a comprehensive strategy. It just so happens that several of those actions and strategies are fundable and money is immediately available So therefore, we've structured recommendations in the report for the application by the county for those funds that are currently available and immediately available from the Department of Community Affairs. So that's a quick overview. Again, if you have any specific questions about any of the information that's in the report or any of the recommendations or the action plan, I'd be glad to answer those questions now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for such a comprehensive report and your presentation. Are there any questions from any members of the board at this time? We'll be looking forward to talking to you more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you to the board for giving us the opportunity to prepare this on behalf of the county.
Moving along with our agenda, we'll first call up the Deputy County Clerk, Nicole Dorado.
Good evening, members of the board. The Office of the Union County Clerk has one resolution on for your consideration this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Freeholder Estrada.
One of my questions is the information that we gathered. How do you come about choosing or recommending this organization for this project?
Actually, the vendor was recommended to us by Robert Charkowski. He had visited an IT vendor trade show and had met, I believe, with several vendors there, and he thought that this was, when we approached him about the idea of developing an election app, he thought that this was certainly a vendor that we should view a demonstration from and solicit proposals from. So we trusted Robert's judgment, and from what we've seen through the webinar, and I have about 4 or 5 other entities, election apps downloaded on my phone. They offer a very robust program, and they seem to offer very good customer service and have good references.
What does the app do specifically?
The app, we're very excited about this. The app is going to do a number of different things. It will help a voter register to vote. It'll provide a calendar of important deadlines, for example, the deadline to register to vote before an election, the deadline to submit your vote-by-mail application. If you want to know where you vote, you would type in your address, and it'll provide you with a polling place. It'll also provide you with your sample ballot, so you can view it or take it into the polling place with you. And that particular function will also give you directions to your polling place from either your house or where you happen to be at that particular moment. There'll be an icon on how to vote. So right now we have a video on our website about how to use the machines, but we're also going to develop a video for how to vote on a vote-by-mail ballot. There will be a campaign finance feature where if you're a candidate, you can go and get deadlines for campaign finance reporting when your reports are due to ELEC, and the ELEC handbook will be available. The district maps for the voting districts there will be a link to the Board of Elections, so our information will be married between the Board of Elections and the county clerk's office, because very often the voters don't understand that the responsibilities are bifurcated. So if somebody wants to volunteer to work at a polling place, they'll be provided with information to contact the Board of Elections as well as the application. A link to our election results webpage. Contact us, ADA accessibility information, to request a vote-by-mail ballot application, where you can basically type in your name and address and into a form on your iPhone or Android, and it will automatically generate an email to our UC Vote at UCNJ account, and we'll be able to mail you a vote-by-mail application. Of course, we still need your original signature, so that process can't be totally automated, but all you have to do is let us know that you want one. We'll have a candidate section, so if you want to become a candidate, whether you're in a regular municipality, nonpartisan, school board, county level, where you get your petitions from, and who you work with through that process. And there'll be a countdown to when the polls open on Election Day, And then on Election Day, a countdown to when the polls close on the homepage. So we're very excited.
Is this app, is this a free app, or is it going to cost?
It will be a free app to the users.
Right.
Of course, there is a fee incurred for the customization and the development of the app, and that will be $30,000. And then it's a $5,000 annual maintenance and support fee per year. And then we're building in $5,000 for any work that may fall outside the scope of our statement of work. We've never done anything like this before, so we just want to be prepared for anything that may come up. And this is a not to exceed amount, so it's very possible that the customization and the setup fees may fall below $30,000, and it's very possible that we may never use the $5,000 that we're building into the contract. But that fee also includes the licensing fees, the Apple and Google Store fees, and the registration fees that go along with those entities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go over.
Definitely think it's a great application, especially nowadays when everybody has smartphone to get easy information for voters and residents. But question to you is, how many other counties have this application?
I believe we're the first in New Jersey
That sounds great to me.
doing this. And this company has done applications for Sonoma County, which, if anybody wants to download it, it's Sonoma County Elections in your app store. Long Beach in California, they just signed a contract with Denver, Colorado. They have prepared customer service relations apps for the U.S. House of Representatives. PayPal and AT&T are on their reference lists. And we've also viewed and taken ideas from the Ottawa and Winnipeg elections websites, or elections apps.
Thank you. Fielder Strata.
Is there a need for an individual to use the apps to register on the app itself, or no?
You can't, because you still have to submit signature on your application, but we will be providing information, how to contact the Board of Elections, how to access a registration
You didn't understand my
form.
question. To use the apps and to exchange with the app itself, is there a need to register?
Oh,
Apps
no, I'm
require
sorry. No,
registration.
I'm sorry. You just download it. There will be a disclaimer that you have to accept, and then that's it. You can use the functions of the app. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Well, you know that you have a lot of supporters for the new technology.
When I hear registration, I think for voting.
Anything else?
That's-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Albert, from the Department of Administrative Services.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Department has one resolution on for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? No questions. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you. Department of Corrections, Director Reardon.
Evening, Chairman, members of the board. Department of Correction has one resolution for your consideration this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Just as a little bit of background, we are requesting an extension. I believe firmly it will be our last request for an extension for this inmate telephone contract, as I have 4 very large proposals on my desk, and myself and the evaluating committee are coming towards the finish line of evaluating those proposals and eventually making a recommendation to the board to support the awarding of a contract that will not only provide inmate telephone services to the jail, but will also provide other technologies as well, as a bundle of services in that RCCP reply. So again, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
None, thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Economic Development, Director Reyes.
Good evening, Chairman and Freeholders. Economic Development has 9 resolutions for your consideration, and I would like to add 2 resolutions to the agenda related to T&M Strategic Recovery Planning Report, which was just presented tonight. The first resolution accepts the findings of the report, and the second would authorize the county manager to apply for and accept funding for additional post-Sandy planning assistant grants to address recommendations from the report.
Any questions on any item? Freeholder Granados.
Just in reference to number 7 and number 8, to the Workforce Investment Act Youth Program, how many youth will actually benefit? How many youth will participate in the program?
I'll bring Antonio Rivera to answer those.
Good evening, freeholders. In terms of resolution number 7, there will be 40 youth. In terms of resolution number 8, there will be 30 youth.
Repeat it one more time, please.
Resolution number 8, there will be 30 youth. Resolution number 7, there will be 40 youth.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. I have a question about number 9. I think it's probably yours as well. With regard to this particular number, what type of training specifically is anticipated?
Thank you, freeholder, for your question. The the state of New Jersey allows for individuals, training schools, to develop curricula and apply to become training schools. They go through a rigorous process and they're placed on what's called the eligible training providers list. In Union County proper, there are about between 40 and 50 schools, and there are about over 400 programs, including a commercial driver's license, Six Sigma, hairdressers. I have an entire list here, environmental technician. So there's a myriad of program by a myriad of options and training institutions that are monitored by the state of New Jersey.
So participation in this program actually gets people actual licensing and et cetera in various areas.
Absolutely, and so there's a credential attached, and there is employment that's required as an attachment to the training for the schools, and these credentials are all national credentialed in nature.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you. Department of Finance, Director Taylor.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. The Department of Finance has 15 resolutions for your consideration this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? There are none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Human Services, Director Guzzo.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the Department of Human Services has 4 resolutions on for your consideration. And I'll attempt to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Department of Parks and Recreation, Director Zuber.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. The Department of Parks and Recreation has 4 items on tonight's agenda, and I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Thank you.
Department of Public Safety, Director Moran.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Department of Public Safety has 3 resolutions on for your consideration. I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for the order? Question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Department of Public Works and Facilities, Halake.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Department of Public Works and Facilities has 3 resolutions. I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Thank you. Reynolds Hospital, Michael Drummond.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Reynolds has 2 resolutions for your consideration.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Office of the County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Office of the County Council has one item on tonight's agenda. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Any questions? Thank you, County Council. Office of the County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Office of the County Manager has one resolution, and I'll attempt to answer any questions you may have.
Tell us about the program.
Mr. Chairman, this is an annual program. We have a relationship with Rutgers Cooperative Extension to provide certain members of the Rutgers faculty with positions. We have a dual relationship with the state where the state pays for some of the salaries and we do. This is something that we have done for a number of years. And as I think you know, Rutgers Cooperative Extension provides many programs for the benefit of our county residents, and we want to continue this relationship that we've had for the past number of years. And it's basically the same amount as last year.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right. Freeholder-sponsored resolutions. I will have from fiscal some resolutions regarding sponsorships and position control item. Are there any other changes, additions, amendments to any of the?
I will have a moratorium.
Okay, one from Freeholder Wright and one from Freeholder Granados. Any other ones? Going once? No. All right. It's now time to go into an executive session. County Council, if you can please make your statement relative to same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the public body may enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing certain enumerated subjects. This board now wishes to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing potential contract negotiations with the County of Hudson and attorney-client privilege communication relative to correctional services and juvenile detention services. The minutes of the executive session shall be separated from the minutes of the open public session. The minutes of the executive session, redacted as appropriate and necessary, shall be available in approximately 30 days. The clerk to the board shall retain the original minutes until such time as the confidential limitations have been removed, at which time they shall be made available. Upon the affirmative vote of a majority of the members present, the board may retire to executive session. Upon the board's return, given this is an agenda meeting, it will not take any formal action on the matters discussed.
May I have a motion to enter into executive session? Moved by Freeholder Kowalski, seconded by Freeholder Wright. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Bergen.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 6 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. We are now in executive session. The board may have a roll call.
Freeholder Bergen.
Here. Or, yes.
Yes. Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Yes.
Freeholder Kowalski. Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
And Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 6 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. County Council, do you have a statement relative to tonight's executive session?
Nothing necessary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good.